Shalom and shalom. Welcome, you guys. That's one of my favorites from James Block. Hang on one moment. Let me get everything set here. And I just realized there is a little echo where I am. Let me know how the sound is, you guys. There we go. Now I can see you. And if you're texting me on Facebook, I can't see your messages. Hang on, you guys. I'm trying to get everything set to where I can see your chat. Welcome, 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 everybody. Please like and share the broadcast. I just wanted to catch up with you. Tonight's the night. Weekend at Bernie's. Give us his speech in just a few minutes. We're gonna look at that. But I also want to talk about a report that just came out from the FBI. It actually was a memo that went out about a threat on Donald Trump. A sister sent me this information yesterday, and I looked at it, searched out what is known on that, and had some results on it. We're going to be talking about that. Welcome, everybody. Shalom to you. Weekend at Bernie's about to be speaking to us. We're going to see what he's going to say. We're also going to be talking about the latest tables that we've discussed and the correlation between the eclipse. You know, I realize that some of you are looking for rapture and things like that, but I do believe this particular eclipse sequence that began really in 2017. And if you recall, I had done a video just before that, just before the eclipse. I want to say it was a couple of months before the eclipse, but I gave a commentary about what I thought was going to happen. And I basically called it the pandemic a couple of years before it actually happened. So this is along the same lines. I pointed out that this 7-year period that we would go through would be highly significant, and that 2024 would be a difficult year to say the least, but I would think we would see some major events take place that would be, along the line. My volume? Are you telling me to check my volume? What do you mean the sound is not clear? We got a little echo? My volume is all the way up, you guys. Can you hear me good? I'm in a little alcove outside where I am, so there might be a slight echo. There is a better Wi-Fi connection here, and I did not want to drop out during this stream. Sounds good there. You guys give me a thumbs up so we can continue. How's the sound? Very good. All right. All right. So it basically comes down to, after looking at the last several tables that we looked at, there's only a handful of options that are going to happen here, right? That's a logic. We don't need the codes to see that. What we use the codes for is to look at the probability of each one of those things, and kind of discern, what's going on here. But there's other factors that play a part in this, and that is the unknown when it comes to Bible codes, because the fact of the matter is we all have choices to make. In any given table, let's say we're looking at a person, right? There are good and bad that is there, because everybody can make a either good or bad choice, right? You could be either a son of light or a son of darkness. There's no in between. And by the way, Yah tells us what happens with the ones that ride the fence, right? He spews them out of his mouth. He would rather you be hot or cold, light or dark, but not gray. Don't be gray. That's not going to work. Okay, so There's only a handful of possibilities here. And so we've discussed a few of those in the past couple of broadcasts, you guys. And, you know, I know it's hard to digest some of that. And again, I want to just say in my own defense, I'm not making any predictions here. I don't know one way or the other that this is going to go down. I have an idea, I have an opinion on it, but I don't have a prediction on it. That's why I've said that this is all about probability. So I don't want to get caught up into that, and whether I'm right or wrong, you know, we don't need to be throwing around terms like prophet and things like that. You guys, I'm an analyst. I analyze Bible codes that the Holy Spirit reveals to me, and you know, and I'm not perfect. Sometimes I interpret those things differently than I should. Now, I would say in my own defense that over the years I've gotten better at it. There's been a learning curve, okay, but you know, it's not 100% absolute, especially after the last video you guys saw with the possibility of Kamala and Michelle Obama being a part of a ticket. You guys, that's a hard pill to swallow, right? But it is a possibility. And now, here's something really interesting I saw today. Roger Stone over on Alex Jones actually agreed with me. He said he believes that the Democratic person that they're going to put in there, the only one that he believes can beat Trump or appear to, right, is the name Obama. And so Michelle Obama is this is why also that Las Vegas is picking her. I don't care what she says. I know what her husband's saying. He wants it to continue with the 3.0, 4.0, 5.0 and on, right? Because what we've seen right now with Weekend at Bernie's is not really, this is not the same Joe Biden we know years ago, okay? They're holding him up. They're going to pull, it looks like, we got 245 days left until the election. You know how he's going to come across the finish line? You know, Weekend at Bernie's, holding him up. Oh no, he's not dead. He's not dead. He's just sleeping, right? This is what they're going to do. And let me tell you something, the amount of gaslighting that's going on in the media and what you're going to see tonight in just a few minutes with his speech is unfathomable. They're going to gaslight the crap out of you. Okay, and it's expected to have an effect on all of us, because this is really like the emperor wears no clothes, right? Where, you know, just based off of mass delusion, everybody cops to the same thing, right? Oh yeah, the clothes are beautiful. Everybody can clearly see that the emperor has no clothes on, but nobody wants to be the one to point that out. Everybody's going to jump on the bandwagon with this psychology. Oh no, he's competent. No, he's not dead. He's not dead. He's sleeping. He's sleeping, right? That's about just my 2 cents on that. It can go down a couple other ways. And I do believe, you know, because of the Nineveh connection to this eclipse pattern that we're seeing, there is an element of repentance and forgiveness that's here. And I do believe that the Father can relent. I do believe he does change his mind. That's very clear. We can see that. We can see that with the story of Hezekiah and the prophet Isaiah. Isaiah comes and tells him, you're going to die. And Isaiah turns over in his bed against the wall and he prays to the Father. He says, remember what I did for you. And what does Yah say? Oh yeah, that's right. You did. Then he turns the prophet around before he left the palace and had him go back and tell him that he was going to be, you know, living longer. And even then, what did Hezekiah do? He asked for a sign, which is a really big deal, because this is where we see the 10 degrees of the sun going back. That is a huge astronomical event, and it's a major one, right? We see this repetitive cycle in the scriptures over and over again. Joshua's long day, what happened at the crucifixion with Yeshua, what blocked out the sun for 3 hours, you guys? The longest for a lunar eclipse, or solar eclipse, excuse me, is about 7 minutes. It's over rather quickly, right? What blocks the sun out for 3 hours? It wasn't. Let me tell you something. At Passover time, at full moon time, because the eclipse that you're about to see in April 8th is at new moon time when you can't see the moon. You will not be able to see the moon when the eclipse happens. You'll just see a darkness over the sun, right? That's new moon time. So at Passover time, when Yeshua gave his life, there's a full moon. There is no eclipse that happens then. Something else blocked out the sun. Planet X, this is why we talk about Nibiru and some of the things that I believe is wormwood, okay? But it was not the moon, right? We will see a lunar eclipse, by the way, a blood moon over the United States, March 24th, March 25th, in that area. That is the full moon. You will see a blood moon. This is also a harbinger. It's also a sign to us. All right, guys, it's about to start right now. Let me go over to the president. Let's watch this together. We're going to talk after this about the green light on Trump. Gave the call to the president yet. We are at 4 o'clock time, which is the time he's supposed to come in. There we see the judges from the Supreme Court, and look at there, who we see there. Possibly the next president. We shall see. We shall see. Don't go anywhere, you guys. We're gonna continue with the discussion after the president. I make comment during. But this is I can't imagine what he's going to say, right? I mean, we're liking to maybe apologize for the condition of the country, but I think we're going to be gaslighted. I think there's going to be a lot of gaslighting. Oh, the economy's great and jobs are doing well. Ask yourself, is this true in where your part of the world, where you live in the United States? While I have it over on your screenshotting this, I cannot see your I could, but I don't know why I didn't do this. With my other computer and put it up so I can see your chat. Running a little behind, I guess. Guys, if you would, please help me out with the thumbs up and share the broadcast. We are pushing about 1,200 views, which is outstanding. I appreciate all the new subscribers. Which we're getting about 300 to 400 a day, which is pretty remarkable. This season. Thank you guys for your subscription. Well, I would say Biden's fashionably late. We're now at 4:03 my local time. No president. Meantime, he'll be in soon. we should hear the call to the chief, which would be when he's at the door, ready to come in. Look at all the people in white. Look at all the females in white. That's white pantsuit, white pantsuit, white pantsuit, white pantsuit, white, all white. What's going on? What does this mean? What's happening? Why are all these women in white? Are they going to try to make red, white, and blue in the crowd or something? I don't know. What's going on? Why are they all wearing white? Is that? I don't get it. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just coincidence. Maybe the averagers are. That means people wear white at one time. I don't know. I think it's sending a message. All right, so I'll listen out for the president. You got. Well, it looks like they're going to start. Looks like they're going to call the order. Okay. I see your text, Mom. He's about 6 minutes late. I'm thinking of, I'd like to show you a piece from Lisa Hagen, but I don't want to get started in that until we see him start, because it may overlap. I should have started the stream a little bit early. I gave myself a little buffer. This is live, by the way. This is not playback from you. It is what it is. There's a representative from Hawaii. And Bernie Sanders. That's a different weekend at Bernie's. And I'm so tempted just to go over to Lisa's video and come back to him. I believe that's Jim Clyburn from South Carolina, and what's her name? Jim Clyburn. Clyburn. Here's one of the squad. Another one. So he's almost 10 minutes late now. I thought this was starting at exactly 4 o'clock my time. Can you believe it? She's wearing white. All right, looks like here we go. There's representative from New Mexico. And you're about to call it to order. I don't expect him to go too long, you guys. This is obviously very scripted. He's not going to speak from the heart, so to speak. And when he runs out of words, that's it. Let's count the number of gaps, the number of times he stumbles in this. But this would be a very good cognitive exercise for a person to gauge whether or not they're confident or whether or not they have mental. Right? Saw a report from Joe Scarborough this morning with an outrageous claim about Biden. Here we go. I think here we go. There's Mrs. Biden coming in.
Mr. Speaker, the President's Cabinet.
the President of the United States.
Look over here, Mr. President. Good to see you, Mr. President. This is about you. This is about the soul of the nation.
Bless his heart. Have you seen the polls? Especially the polls from like CNN and other places. They're putting him and Trump neck to neck within 3 points. You believe that? I don't know if I believe that. Remember, the word charade is in these tables here with Biden and Kamala. Somebody pointed out that a sign said "Scream real loud." That's because this is all a stage, right? And they want you to believe this is a very popular president. That he's got what it takes. Yeah, we got to get the selfies in. He doesn't even look like the same person, you guys, as he did when he was actually vice president. The word puppet is also in his table. The Biden resigns table also has the puppet, which is a palindrome that runs in both directions. And hinging on the bet in his name, the B in his name. More selfies. More selfies. Come on. It's past his bedtime. East Coast time. If they're not careful, he's going to run out of gas before he can get through his speech. I don't know. You know, there's speculation about why he looks different. There's some conspiracy, you know, theories that it's a double. I've even seen some videos that swear up and down it is somebody in a mask to look like Biden. You know, Hillary had doubles.
They're going to be yelling too. So.
4 more years. Are you kidding me? 4 more years, they say. You think he's got it? It's not going to be him, you guys. If they hold him up all the way through the election and they pull this thing off, it's not going to be him. It's going to be, I'm telling you, it's going to be Kamala. And AI has picked another black woman. I'm suggesting it might be, you know, Michelle Obama, based off of some data I'm looking at. She says no. She's kind of wavering, but they all say that really. When it comes down to it, you know, they want to have some modesty. Oh no. I seen what they did to my husband. I don't want to do that. And all the while, Barack is on the other side going, yeah. Right? It couldn't happen any better. You think Gavin Newsom is going to be the one to pull this off? Not even close. You know, if they did the thing, and Gavin Newsom is with Kamala, or I don't know what the laws are, if they can just put him in there above Kamala, that wouldn't be, I don't think, the correct order. I think she's next in line. But even if they did Gavin Newsom, you think he's going to pull it off? Not without the stuff. He's not going to be able to pull it off. He's almost there, you guys. Almost there. This is kind of normal for the presidential walk from the foyer. Shaking hands, you know, camera time, smiling, selfies. It's all normal. Shalom and welcome everybody to the live stream. Please like and share. We're going to be talking about the green light on Trump after this. I don't expect Biden to go long, you guys. I don't expect him to go. There he goes. Got it. What? Is this? Am I supposed to say this? I guess that's a copy of the speech for each one. All right, here we go, you guys.
Tony. Thank you. Here's a drill. Good evening. Good evening. If I were smart, I'd go home now. Mr. Speaker, Madam Vice President, members of Congress, my fellow Americans, in January 1941, Franklin Roosevelt came to this chamber to speak to the nation, and he said, I address you at a moment unprecedented in the history of the Union. Hitler was on the march. War was raging in Europe. President Roosevelt's purpose was to wake up Congress and alert the American people that this was no ordinary time. Freedom and democracy were under assault in the world. Tonight, I come to this same chamber to address the nation. Now, it's we who face an unprecedented moment in the history of the Union. And yes, my purpose tonight is to wake up the Congress and alert the American people that this is no ordinary moment either. Not since President Lincoln and the Civil War have freedom and democracy been under assault at home as they are today. What makes our moment rare is that freedom and democracy are under attack both at home and overseas at the very same time. Overseas, Putin of Russia is on the march, invading Ukraine and sowing chaos throughout Europe and beyond. If anybody in this room thinks Putin will stop at Ukraine, I assure you he will not. But Ukraine can stop Putin. Ukraine can stop Putin if we stand with Ukraine and provide the weapons that it needs to defend itself. That is all Ukraine is asking. They're not asking for American soldiers. In fact, there are no American soldiers at war in Ukraine, and I'm determined to keep it that way. But now, assistance to Ukraine is being blocked by those who want to walk away from our world leadership. It wasn't long ago when a Republican president named Ronald Reagan thundered, "Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall." Now, my predecessor, a former Republican president, tells Putin, quote, "Do whatever the hell you want." That's a quote. A former president actually said that, bowing down to a Russian leader. I think it's outrageous, it's dangerous, and it's unacceptable. America is a founding member of NATO, the military alliance of democratic nations created after World War II to prevent war and keep the peace. And today, we've made NATO stronger than ever. We welcomed Finland to the alliance last year. And just this morning, Sweden officially joined, and their minister is here tonight. Can they stand up? Welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And they know how to fight. Mr. Prime Minister, welcome to NATO, the strongest military alliance the world has ever seen. I say this to Congress, we have to stand up to Putin. Send me a bipartisan national security bill. History is literally watching. History is watching. If the United States walks away, it will put Ukraine at risk. Europe is at risk. The free world will be at risk, emboldening others to do what they wish to do us harm. My message to President Putin, who I've known for a long time, is simple. We will not walk away. We will not bow down. I will not bow down. In a literal sense, history is watching. History is watching. Just like history watched 3 years ago on January 6th, when insurrectionists stormed this very Capitol and placed a dagger to the throat of American democracy. Many of you are here on that darkest of days. We all saw with our own eyes the insurrectionists were not patriots. They'd come to stop the peaceful transfer of power. to overturn the will of the people. January 6 lies about the 2020 election and the plots to steal the election posed a gravest threat to U.S. democracy since the Civil War. But they failed. America stood.
I know it's hard to listen to you guys. Kind of bear through it.
America stood strong and democracy prevailed.
It's a dog and pony
must be
show. You know
honest.
this, right?
The threat to democracy must be defended. My predecessor and some of you here seek to bury the truth about January 6th. I will not do that. This is the moment to speak the truth and to bury the lies. Here's the simple truth. You can't love your country only when you win. As I've done ever since being elected to office, I ask all of you without regard to party to join together and defend democracy. Remember your oath of office of defending against all threats, foreign and domestic. Respect free and fair elections, restore trust in our institutions, and make clear political violence has absolutely no place in America, zero place. Again,
I think that might be the squad in white, you guys.
it's not hyperbole to suggest history is watching. We're watching. Your children and grandchildren will read about this day and what we do. History is watching another assault on freedom. Joining us tonight is Latoya Beasley, a social worker from Birmingham, Alabama. 14 months ago, she and her husband welcomed a baby girl thanks to the miracle of IVF. She scheduled treatments to have that second child, but the Alabama Supreme Court shut down IVF treatments across the state, unleashed by a Supreme Court decision overturning Roe v. Wade. She was told her dream would have to wait. What her family had got through should never have happened. Unless Congress acts, it could happen again. So tonight, let's stand up for families like hers. To my friends across the aisle, don't keep this waiting any longer. Guarantee the right to AVF. Guarantee it nationwide. Like most Americans, I believe Roe v. Wade got it right. I thank Vice President Harris for being an incredible leader, defending reproductive freedom, and so much more.
Most Americans believe Roe v. Wade was right. Really?
My predecessor came to office determined to see Roe v. Wade overturned. He's the reason it was overturned, and he brags about it. Look at the chaos that has resulted. Joining us tonight is Kate Cox, the wife and mother from Dallas. She's become pregnant again and had a fetus of a fatal condition. Her doctor told Kate that her own life and her ability to have children in the future were at risk if she didn't act. Because Texas law banned her ability to act, Kate and her husband had to leave the state to get what she needed. What her family got through should have never happened as well, but it's happening in too many others. There are state laws banning the freedom to choose, criminalizing doctors, forcing survivors of rape and incest to leave their states to get the treatment they need. Many of you in this chamber and my predecessor are promising to pass a national ban on reproductive freedom. My God, what freedom else would you take away? Look, it's a decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. The Supreme Court majority wrote the following, and with all due respect, justices, women are not without electoral power.
Refresh your page, Marty.
Electoral or political power. You're about to realize just how much you're right about that. Those bragging about overturning Roe v. Wade have no clue about the power of women. But they found out when reproductive freedom was on the ballot. We won in 2022 and 2020, and we'll win again in 2024. If you, the American people, send me a Congress that supports the right to choose, I promise you, I'll restore Roe v. Wade as the law of the land again. Folks,
If we go this way, you guys, it's judgment.
America
on
cannot go
nation.
back. I'm here tonight to show what I believe is the way forward, because I know how far we come. 4 years ago, next week, before I came to office,
This is why the word
the
abortions
country
are
was
in
hit
these tables.
by the worst pandemic and the worst economic crisis in a century. Remember the fear, record losses. Remember the spikes in crime and the murder rate, raging virus that took more than 1 million American lives, of loved ones, millions left behind. A mental health crisis of isolation and loneliness. A president, my predecessor, failed the most basic presidential duty that he owes to American people, the duty to care. I think that's unforgivable. I came to office determined to get us through one of the toughest periods in the nation's history. We have. It doesn't make news in 1,000 cities and towns. The American people are writing the greatest comeback story never told. So let's tell the story here. Tell it here and now. America's comeback is building a future of American possibilities, building an economy from the middle out and the bottom up, not the top down, investing in all America, in all Americans, to make sure everyone has a fair shot, and we leave no one behind. The pandemic no longer controls our lives. The vaccines that saved us from COVID are now being used to beat cancer, turning setback into comeback. That's what America does. That's what America does.
Gaslighting is gaslighting right here.
My inherited economy is on the brink. Now our economy is literally the envy of the world. 15 million new jobs in just 3 years, a record, a record. Unemployment at 50-year lows.
Here goes the gaslighting. Here goes the gaslighting, you guys.
A record 16 million Americans are starting small businesses, and each one is a little
Record,
act
really.
of hope.
Record.
With historic job growth and small business growth for Black and Hispanics and Asian Americans, 800,000 new manufacturing jobs in America and counting. Where is it written we can't be the manufacturing capital of the world? We are, we will.
Do those
More
Democrats
people
look
have
convinced?
health insurance
Did
today.
you see their face?
More people have health insurance today
They
than ever
know
before.
what he's saying is a lie.
The racial wealth gap is as small as it's been in 20 years. Wages keep going up, inflation keeps coming down. Inflation has dropped from 9% to 3%, the lowest in the world and tending lower. The landing is and will be soft. And now, instead of importing foreign products and exporting American jobs, we're exporting American products and creating American jobs. Right here in America, where they belong.
You guys see America thriving right now? He is gaslighting.
It takes time, but the American
crap
people are
out of you
beginning to
right
feel
now.
it. Consumer studies show consumer confidence is soaring. Buy America has been the law of the land since the 1930s. Past administrations, including my predecessor, including some Democrats as well in the past, failed to buy American. Not anymore. On my watch, federal projects that you fund, like helping build American roads, bridges, and highways, will be made with American products and built by American workers. Creating good-paying American jobs. And thanks to our CHIPS and Science Act, the United States is investing more in research and development than ever before. During the pandemic, a shortage of semiconductors, chips, that drove up the price of everything from cell phones to automobiles. And by the way, we invented those chips right here in America. Well, instead of having to import them, private companies are now investing billions of dollars to build new chip factories here in America, creating tens of thousands of jobs. Many of those jobs paying $100,000 a year and don't require a college degree. In fact, my policies have attracted $650 billion in private sector investment in clean energy, advanced manufacturing, creating tens of thousands of jobs here in America. And thanks to our bipartisan infrastructure law, 46,000 new projects have been announced all across your communities. And by the way, I noticed some of you strongly voted against it, or they're cheering on that money coming in. I like it. I'm with you. I'm with you. If any of you don't want that money in your district, just let me know. Modernizing our roads and bridges, ports and airports, public transit systems. Removing poisonous lead pipes so every child can drink clean water without risk of brain damage. Providing affordable high-speed internet for every American, no matter where you live, urban, suburban, or rural communities, in red states and blue states. Record investments in tribal communities. Because of my investment in family farms, because I invested in family farms led by my Secretary of Agriculture, who knows more about this than anybody I know, we're better able to stay in the family for those farms and their children and grandchildren won't have to leave home to make a living. It's transformative. The great comeback story is Belvedere, Illinois, home to an auto plant for nearly 60 years. Before I came to office, the plant was on its way to shutting down. Thousands of workers feared for their livelihoods. Hope was fading. Then I was elected to office, and we raised the Belvedere repeatedly with auto companies, knowing unions would make all the difference. The UAW worked like hell to keep the plant open and get these jobs back, and together we succeeded. Instead of auto factories shutting down, auto factories reopening, a new state-of-the-art battery factories being built to power those cars there at the same. The folks of Belvedere, I say, instead of your town being left behind, your community is moving forward again. Because instead of watching auto jobs in the future go overseas, 4,000 union jobs with higher wages are building the future in Belvedere right here in America. Here tonight is UAW President Shawn Fain, a great friend and a great labor leader. Shawn, where are you? Stand up. And Dawn Sims, a third-generation worker, UAW worker at Belvedere. Shawn, I was proud to be the first president to stand on the picket line.
Make sure you come back and check out the last
Dawn has a good job in her hometown, providing stability for her family and pride and dignity as well. Showing once again, Wall Street didn't build America. They're not bad guys. They didn't build it, though. The middle class built the country, and unions built the middle class. I say to the American people, when America gets knocked down, we get back up. We keep going. That's America. That's you, the American people. It's because of you America's coming back. It's because of you our future is brighter. It's because of you that tonight we can proudly say the state of our union is strong and getting stronger.
Oh my gosh. I think he's about to wrap it up, you guys, so try to hang through it if you can. There's no way he's going to go long on this. And there it is.
Tonight, I want to talk about the future of possibilities that we can build together. A future where the days of trickle-down economics are over and the wealthy and the biggest corporations no longer get all the tax breaks. And by the way, I understand corporations. I come from a state that has more corporations invested than every one of your states in the United States combined. And I represented it for 36 years. I'm not anti-corporation, but I grew up in a home where trickle-down economics didn't put much on my dad's kitchen table. That's why I determined to turn things around so middle class does well. When they do well, the poor go way up and the wealthy still do very well. We all do well. And there's more to do to make sure you're feeling the benefits of all we're doing. Americans pay more for prescription drugs than anywhere in the world. It's wrong, and I'm ending it.
Another gaslighting. He hasn't done anything for prescription drugs.
With the law that I proposed and signed, not one of you Republican buddies voted for it. We finally beat Big Pharma. Instead of paying $400 a month or thereabouts for insulin with diabetes, and it only costs $10 to make, they only get paid $35 a month now and still make a healthy profit. And I want to, but what to do next? I want to cap the cost of insulin at $35 a month for every American who needs it. Everyone.
Wow, so does that mean just for insulin? Really?
For
What about the
years.
cancer patients that are paying
People have talked about
$10,000
it,
a
but
pill?
finally, we got it done and gave Medicare the power to negotiate lower prices on prescription drugs, just like the VA is able to do for veterans. That's not just saving seniors money, it's saving taxpayers money. We cut the federal deficit by $160 billion. Because Medicare...
Bernie said too many people with
will no
possibility of
longer have to
COVID
pay
in here.
those exorbitant prices to Big Pharma.
Earlier in the video, he didn't have
This
a
year,
mask on.
Medicare
Now
is
it's too many
negotiating
people in
lower
the
prices
room.
for some of the costliest drugs on the market.
Obviously, right?
To treat everything from heart disease to arthritis. It's now time to go further and give Medicare the power to negotiate lower prices for 500 different drugs over the next decade. They're making a lot of money, guys. And they'll still be extremely profitable. Will not only save lives, it will save taxpayers another $200 billion. Starting next year, the same law caps total prescription drug costs for seniors on Medicare at $2,000 a year, even for expensive cancer drugs that cost $10,000, $12,000, $15,000. Now I want to cap prescription drug costs at $2,000 a year for everyone. Folks, I'm going to get in trouble for saying that, but if you want to get in Air Force One and fly to Toronto, Berlin, Moscow, well, even Moscow, probably. And bring your prescription with you, and I promise you I'll get it for you for 40% the cost you're paying now. Same company, same drug, same place. Folks, the Affordable Care Act, the old Obamacare, it's still a very big deal.
Pushing the Obama agenda. Why? Because this is Obama 3.0.
Over 100 million of you can no longer be denied health insurance because of pre-existing condition. Well, my predecessor and many in this chamber want to take this prescription drug away by repealing the Affordable Care Act. I'm not going to let that happen. We stopped you 50 times before and we'll stop you again. In fact, I'm not only protecting it, I'm expanding it.
You guys, gaslighting is so awesome in this. I almost stood up on that.
Reduce health care costs for millions of working families. That tax credit expires next year. I want to make that savings permanent. To state the obvious, women are more than half our population, but research on women's health has always been underfunded. That's why we're launching the first ever White House initiative on women's health research, led by Jill, doing an incredible job as First Lady.
By the way, that's Maria Shriver. Maria Shriver showing support.
Will pass my plan for $12 billion to transfer women's health research and benefit millions of lives all across America. I know the cost of housing is so important to you. If inflation keeps coming down, mortgage rates will come down as well, and the Fed acknowledges that. But I'm not waiting. I want to provide an annual tax credit that will give Americans $400 a month for the next 2 years as mortgage rates come down, to put toward their mortgages when they buy their first home or trade up for a little more space.
$400 to you. $400, you guys.
Just for 2 years.
How much are they giving to the migrants? 3 federally paid airplane rides, ATM cards with $10,000 on it. What?
There's also
$400.
eliminating title insurance on federally backed mortgages. When you refinance your home, you can save $1,000 or more as a consequence. For millions of renters,
save $1,000. He sounds like a used car
who use
salesman.
who break antitrust laws by price fixing and driving up rents. We've cut red tape so builders can get federally financing, which is already helping build a record 1.7 million new housing units nationwide. Now pass and build and renovate 2 million affordable homes and bring those rents down. To remain the strongest economy in the world, we need to have the best education system in the world. And I, like I suspect all of you, want to give every child, a good start by providing access to preschool.
I expect him to wrap it up
3
pretty
and 4
soon,
years
you guys. I don't expect him to go more than an hour.
You know, I think I pointed out last year that children coming from broken homes where there's no books, they're not read to, not spoken to very often, start school, kindergarten, or first grade, having heard 1 million fewer words spoken. Well, studies show that children who go to preschool are nearly 50% more likely to finish high school, go on to earn a 2- and 4-year degree, no matter what their background is. I met a year and a half ago with the leaders of the Business Roundtable. They were mad that they were angry, I think, well, they were discussing why I wanted to spend money on education. I pointed out to them, as vice president, I met with over 182 of those folks. Don't hold me to the exact number. And I asked them what they need most, the CEOs. And you've had the same experience on both sides of the aisle. They say a better educated workforce, right? So I looked at them, and I say, I come from Delaware. DuPont used to be the 8th largest corporation in the world. And every new enterprise they bought, they educated the workforce to that enterprise. But none of you do that anymore. Why are you angry with me providing you the opportunity for the best educated workforce in the world? And they all looked at me and said, I think you're right. I want to expand high-quality tutoring and summer learning to see that every child learns to read by 3rd grade. I'm also connecting local businesses and high schools so students get hands-on experience and a path to a good-paying job, whether or not they go to college. And I want to make sure that college is more affordable. Let's continue increasing the Pell Grants to working and middle-class families and increase record investments in HBCUs and minority-serving institutions, including Hispanic institutions. And I was told I couldn't universally just change the way in which we dealt with student loans. I fixed 2 student loan programs that already existed to reduce the burden of student debt for nearly 4 million Americans, including nurses, firefighters, and others in public service. Like Keenan Jones, a public educator from Minnesota, who's here with us tonight. Keenan, where are you? Keenan, thank you. He's educated hundreds of students so they can go to college. Now he's able to help, after debt forgiveness, get his own daughter to college.
Notice how the camera cut very quick. This guy.
Such relief is good for the economy because folks are now able to buy a home, start a business,
I think it's going
start
to
a
cut
family.
very quick to the
While we're
girl
at
with
it,
the
I want to give
dual
public
hair.
school teachers a raise.
different color.
And by the way, the first couple of years, we cut the deficit. Now, let me speak to the question of fundamental fairness for all Americans. I've been delivering real results in fiscally responsible ways. We've already cut the federal deficit. We've already cut the federal deficit over $1 trillion. I signed the bipartisan deal to cut another $1 trillion in the next decade. It's my goal to cut the federal deficit another $3 trillion by making big corporations and very wealthy finally beginning to pay their fair share. Look, I'm a capitalist. If you want to make or can make $1 million or millions of bucks, that's great. Just pay your fair share in taxes. A fair tax code is how we invest things to make this country great. Healthcare, education, defense, and so much more. But here's the deal. The last administration enacted a $2 trillion tax cut, overwhelmingly benefit the top 1%, the very wealthy and the biggest corporations, and exploded the federal deficit. They added more to the national debt than any presidential term in American history. Check the numbers. Folks at home, does anybody really think the tax code is fair? No. Do you really think the wealthy and big corporations need another $2 trillion tax break? No. I sure don't. I'm going to keep fighting like hell to make it fair. Under my plan, nobody earning less than $400,000 a year will pay an additional penny in federal taxes. Nobody, not one penny. And they haven't yet. In fact, the child tax credit I passed during the pandemic cut taxes for millions of working families and cut child poverty in half. Restore that child tax credit. No child should go hungry in this country.
Mark Rubio is not impressed.
The way to make the tax code fair is to make big corporations and the very wealthy begin to pay their fair share. Remember in 2020, 55 of the biggest companies in America made $40 billion and paid zero in federal income tax. Zero. Not anymore. Thanks to the law I wrote and we signed, big companies have to pay a minimum of 15%. But that's still less than working people pay in federal taxes. It's time to raise corporate minimum tax to at least 21%. So every big corporation finally begins to pay their fair share. I also want to end tax breaks for big pharma, big oil, private jets, massive executive pay when it's only supposed to be $1 million that could be deducted. They can pay them $20 million if they want, but deduct $1 million. End it now. You know, there are 1,000 billionaires in America. You know what the average federal tax is for those billionaires? No. They're making great sacrifices, 8.2%. That's far less than the vast majority of Americans pay. No billionaire should pay a lower federal tax rate than a teacher, a sanitation worker, or a nurse.
You guys think Biden's a billionaire? Or just a millionaire?
The minimum tax for billionaires at 25%, just 25%. You know what that would raise? That would raise $500 billion over the next 10 years. And imagine what that could do for America. Imagine a future with affordable child care. Millions of families can get they need to go to work to help grow the economy. Imagine a future with paid leave, because no one should have to choose between working and taking care of their sick family member. Imagine the future of home care and elder care, and people living with disabilities, so they can stay in their homes and family caregivers can finally.
You guys have got to walk away for a moment, take a breath. I know it's a lot to handle.
Let's all agree
It's a lot
once
of
again
gaslighting.
to stand up for seniors.
It's a psychological abuse.
Many of my
I understand
friends
that. Come back
on the
and
other
be sure
side
you
of the aisle
watch
want to
the
put
green
Social
light
Security on the chopping
on
block.
Trump by Iran.
If anyone here tries to cut Social Security, Medicare, or raise the retirement age, I will stop you.
You don't see not one
The
Republican,
working people who built this
not
country
one Republican
pay
party.
more into Social Security than millionaires and billionaires do. It's not fair. We have two ways to go. Republicans can cut Social Security and give more tax breaks to the wealthy. That's the proposal. Oh no, you guys don't want another $2 trillion tax cut? I kind of thought that's what your plan was. Well, that's good to hear. You're not going to cut another $2 trillion for the super wealthy. That's good to hear. I'll protect and strengthen Social Security and make the wealthy pay their fair share. Look, too many corporations raise prices to pad their profits, charging more and more for less and less. That's why we're cracking down on corporations engaged in price gouging and deceptive
Like he didn't have anything to do with that.
from food
you
to
guys.
health care to housing. In fact, the snack companies think you won't
Like he
notice
didn't have
if they
anything to do with
change
that.
the size of the bag and put a hell
Oh
of a lot
my
fewer.
God, just getting thick now.
Same
It's
size
getting
bag.
thick.
Put fewer chips in it. No, I'm not joking. It's called shrinkflation. Pass Bobby Casey's bill.
Called
and stop
Biden
this.
inflation, Bidenomics
I
is
really
what it's
mean it.
called. Inflation didn't happen until he took office, you guys. So what he just said is a bunch of BS.
You probably all saw that commercial on Snickers bars. You get charged the same amount, and you got about, I don't know, 10% fewer Snickers in it. Look,
Making a joke out of it, making light of it, okay?
those hidden fees
That's called spin.
at the end of your bill that are there
Called
without your
spin.
knowledge.
A little bit of
Biden
gaslighting.
administration announced we're cutting credit
BS.
card late fees from $32 to $8. Banks and credit card companies are allowed to charge what it costs them to instigate the collection. And that's more, a hell of a lot, like $8 and 30-some dollars. They don't like it. The credit card companies don't like it. But I'm saving American families $20 billion a year with all the junk fees I'm eliminating. Folks at home, that's why the banks are so mad. It's $20 billion in profit. I'm not stopping there. My administration has proposed rules to make cable, travel, utilities, and online ticket sellers tell you the total price up front so there are no surprises. It matters. It matters. And so does this. In November, my team began serious negotiation with a bipartisan group of senators. The result was a bipartisan bill with the toughest set of border security reforms we've ever seen. Oh, you don't think so? Oh, you don't like
he's
that
touching
bill, huh?
a subject here. He's touching
That
one.
conservatives got together and said it was a good bill? I'll be darned. That's amazing. That bipartisan bill would hire 1,500 more security agents and officers, 100 more immigration judges to help tackle the backload of 2 million cases, 4,300 more asylum officers, and new policies so they can resolve cases in 6 months instead of 6 years now. What are you against? 100 more high-tech drug detection machines to significantly increase the ability to screen and stop vehicles smuggling fentanyl into America. That's killing thousands of children. This bill would save lives and bring order to the border. It will also give me and any new president new emergency authority to temporarily shut down the border when the number of migrants at the border is overwhelming. The Border Patrol Union has endorsed this bill. The Federal Chamber of Commerce is, yeah. You're saying low. Look at the facts. I know you know how to read. I believe that given the opportunity for a majority in the House and Senate would endorse the bill as well, a majority right now. But unfortunately, politics has derailed this bill so far. I'm told my predecessor called members of Congress in the Senate to demand they block the bill. He feels political win, he viewed it as a political win for me and a political loser for him. It's not about him, it's not about me. I'd be a winner, not really.
He's stumped. He's got to take some water. Got to take some water.
Lincoln Riley, an innocent young woman who was killed by an illegal. That's right. But how many of thousands of people being killed by illegals? To her parents, I say, my heart goes out to you, having lost children myself. I understand. But look, if we change the dynamic at the border, people pay these smugglers $8,000 to get across the border because they know if they get by and let into the country, it's 6 to 8 years before they have a hearing.
He's the one letting them in.
And it's worth taking the chance of the $8,000.
Gaslighting.
Gaslighting. But if it's only 6 weeks, the idea is it's highly unlikely that people will pay that money and come all that way, knowing that they'll be able to be kicked out quickly. Folks,
don't nobody believe that.
I would respectfully suggest my Republican friends owe it to the American people, get this bill done. We need to act now.
Not one Republican. Look at them. Oh, look, only the squad standing up. Only the squad. No Republican. And of course, if Kamala says at one time, I'm going to choke on my tongue.
Instead of paying politics and pressuring members of Congress to block the bill, join me in telling the Congress to pass it. We can do it together. But that's what here's what he will not do. I will not demonize immigrants saying they are poison in the blood of our country. I will not.
Oh my gosh, I need to Heimlich, you guys. I'm choking on my tongue. I'm choking on my tongue. Oh my gosh.
Ban people because of their faith. Unlike my predecessor on my first day in office, I introduced a comprehensive bill to fix our immigration system. Take a look at it. It has all these and more. Secure the border. Provide a pathway to citizenship for dreamers, and so much more. But unlike my predecessor, I know who we are as Americans. We're the only nation in the world with a heart and soul that draws from old and new. Home to Native Americans, whose ancestors have been here for thousands of years. Home to people of from every place on earth. They came freely. Some came in chains. Some came when famine struck, like my ancestral family in Ireland. Some to flee persecution, to chase dreams that are impossible anywhere but here in America. That's America. And we all come from somewhere, but we're all Americans. Look, folks, we have a simple choice. We can fight about fixing the border, or we can fix it. I'm ready to fix it. Send me the border bill now. A transformational moment in history happened 59 years ago today in Selma, Alabama. Hundreds of foot soldiers for justice marched across the Edmund Pettus Bridge, named after the Grand Dragon of the Ku Klux Klan, to claim their fundamental right to vote. They were beaten, they were bloody, and left for dead. Our late friend and former colleague, John Lewis, was on that march. We miss him. Joining us tonight are other marchers, both in the gallery and on the floor, including Betty Mae Fikes, known as the voice of Selma. The daughter of gospel singers and preachers, she sang songs of prayer and protest on that bloody Sunday to help shake the nation's conscience. 5 months later, the Voting Rights Act passed and was signed into law. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
I think the girl with the black and red hair is up next, whatever she is and what she represents. Here, right next to her in the pink.
But 59 years later, there are forces taking us back in time. Voter suppression, election subversion, unlimited dark money, extreme gerrymandering. John Lewis is a great friend to many of us here, but if you truly want to honor him and all the heroes who marched with him, then it's time to do more than talk. Pass the Freedom to Vote Act, the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. And stop denying another core value of America, our diversity across American life. Banning books, it's wrong. Instead of erasing history, let's make history. I want to protect fundamental rights. Pass the Equality Act. And my message to transgender Americans, I have your back. Pass the PRO Act for workers' rights. Raise the federal minimum wage, because every worker has a right to a decent living more than $7 an hour. We're also making history by confronting the climate crisis, not denying it. I don't think any of you think there's no longer a climate crisis. At least I hope you don't. I'm taking the most significant action ever on climate in the history of the world. I'm cutting our carbon emissions in half by 2030, creating tens of thousands of clean energy jobs, like the IBEW work is building and installing 500,000 electric vehicle charging stations. Conserving 30% of America's lands and waters by 2030. And taking action on environmental justice fence line communities smothered by the legacy of pollution. And patterned after the Peace Corps and AmeriCorps, I launched the Climate Corps to put 20,000 young people to work in the forefront of our clean energy future. I'll triple that number in a decade. To state the obvious, all Americans deserve the freedom to be safe. And America is safer today than when I took office. Year before I took office, murder rates went up 30%. 30% they went up. the biggest increase in history. It was then, through my American Rescue Plan, which every American voted against, I might add, we made the largest investment in public safety ever. Last year, the murder rate saw the sharpest decrease in history. Violent crime fell to one of its lowest levels in more than 50 years. But we have more to do. We have to help cities invest in more community police officers, more mental health workers, more community violence intervention. Give communities the tool to crack down on gun crime, retail crime, and carjacking. Keep building trust, as I've been doing by taking executive action on police reform and calling for it to be the law of the land. Directing my cabinet to review the federal classification of marijuana and expunging thousands of convictions for the mere possession, because no one should be jailed for simply using or have it on their record. Take on crimes of domestic violence. I'm ramping up the Federal Enforcement of the Violence Against Women Act that I proudly wrote when I was a senator, so we can finally end the scourge against women in America. There are other kinds of violence I want to stop. With us tonight is Jasmine, whose 9-year-old sister Jackie was murdered with 21 classmates and teachers in elementary school.
There she is. I knew she was there for a
Uvalde,
reason.
Texas. Very soon after that happened, Jill and I went to Uvalde for a couple of days. We spent hours and hours with each of the families. We heard their message, so everyone in this room, in this chamber, could hear the same message. The constant refrain, and I was there for hours meeting with every family. They said, do something. Do something. Well, I did do something by establishing the first ever Office of Gun Violence Prevention in the White House, that the Vice President is leading the charge. Thank you for doing it. Meanwhile, my predecessor told the NRA he's proud he did nothing on guns when he was president. Oh. After another shooting in
Guys, you
Iowa
can bet your
recently,
bottom
he
dollar.
said, when asked what to do about it, he said,
If Kamala
"Just get
becomes
over it."
president, that's going to be a main thing
There's
of
his
her
quote.
is to
Just
ban the
get over it.
guns.
I say, stop it. Stop it, stop it, stop it. I'm proud we beat the NRA when I signed the most significant gun safety law in nearly 30 years because of this Congress. We now must beat the NRA again. I'm demanding a ban on assault weapons and high-capacity magazines. Pass universal background checks. None of this. I taught the Second Amendment for 12 years. None of this violates the Second Amendment or vilifies responsible gun owners. You know, as we manage challenges at home, we're also managing crises abroad, including in the Middle East. I know the last 5 months have been gut-wrenching for so many people, for the Israeli people, for the Palestinian people, and so many here in America. This crisis began on October 7th with a massacre by a terrorist group called Hamas, as you all know. 1,200 innocent people, women and girls, men and boys, slaughtered after enduring sexual violence. The deadliest day for the Jewish people since the Holocaust, and 250 hostages taken. Here in this chamber tonight are families whose loved ones are still being held by Hamas. I pledge to all the families that we will not rest until we bring every one of your loved ones home. We also We will also work around the clock to bring home Evan and Paul, Americans being unjustly detained by the Russians and others around the world. Israel has the right to go after Hamas. Hamas ended this conflict by releasing hostages, laying down arms, could end it, by releasing the hostages, laying down arms, and surrendering those responsible for October 7th. But Israel has Israel has a added burden because Hamas hides and operates among the civilian population like cowards, under hospitals, daycare centers, and all the like. Israel also has a fundamental responsibility, though, to protect innocent civilians in Gaza. This war has taken a greater toll on innocent civilians than all previous wars in Gaza combined. More than 30,000 Palestinians have been killed, most of whom are not Hamas. Thousands and thousands of innocents, women and children, girls and boys, also orphaned. Nearly 2 million more Palestinians under bombardment or displacement. Homes destroyed, neighborhoods in rubble, cities in ruin, families without food, water, medicine. It's heartbreaking. I've been working nonstop to establish an immediate ceasefire that would last for 6 weeks to get all the prisoners released, all the hostages released, to get the hostages home and ease the intolerable and humanitarian crisis and build toward an enduring, something more enduring. The United States has been leading international efforts to get more humanitarian assistance to Gaza. Tonight, I'm directing the U.S. military to lead an emergency mission to establish a temporary pier in the Mediterranean on the coast of Gaza that can receive large shipments carrying food, water, medicine, and temporary shelters. No U.S. boots will be on the ground. A temporary pier will enable a massive increase in the amount of humanitarian assistance getting into Gaza every day. And Israel must do its part. Israel must allow more aid into Gaza to ensure humanitarian workers aren't caught in the crossfire. And they're announcing they're going to have a crossing in northern Gaza. To the leadership of Israel, I say this: humanitarian assistance cannot be a secondary consideration or a bargaining chip. Protecting and saving innocent lives has to be a priority. As we look to the future, the only real solution to the situation is a two-state solution over time. And I say this as a lifelong supporter of Israel. My entire career, no one has a stronger record with Israel than I do. I challenge any of you here. I'm the only American president of Israel in wartime. But there is no other path that guarantees Israel's security and democracy. There is no other path that guarantees Palestinians can live in peace with peace and dignity. And there's no other path that guarantees peace between Israel and all of its neighbors, including Saudi Arabia, with whom I'm talking. Creating stability in the Middle East also means containing the threat posed by Iran. That's why I built a coalition of more than a dozen countries to defend international shipping and freedom of navigation in the Red Sea. I've ordered strikes to degrade the Houthi capability and defend U.S. forces in the region. As Commander-in-Chief, I will not hesitate to direct further measures to protect our people and our military personnel. For years, I've heard many of my Republican and Democratic friends say that China is on the rise and America's falling behind. They've got it backwards. I've been saying it for over 4 years, even when I wasn't president. America's rising. We have the best economy in the world. And since I've come to office, our GDP is up, our trade deficit with China is down to the lowest point in over a decade. And we're standing up against China's unfair economic practices. We're standing up for peace and stability across the Taiwan Straits. I've revitalized our partnership and alliance in the Pacific. India, Australia, Japan, South Korea, Pacific Islands. I've made sure that the most advanced American technologies can't be used in China, not allowing to trade them there. Frankly, for all this tough talk on China, it never occurred to my predecessor to do any of that. I want competition with China, not conflict. And we're in a stronger position to win the conflict.
Hang tight, you guys. We're going to talk right after
than
this about the
anyone
green
else,
light
for
on
that matter,
Trump
than
from
any time as
Iran.
well. Here at home, I've signed over 400 bipartisan bills. But there's more to pass my unity agenda. Strengthen penalties on fentanyl trafficking. You don't want to do that, huh? Pass bipartisan privacy legislation to protect our children online. Harness the promise of AI to protect us from peril. Ban AI voice impersonations and more. And keep our truly
Harness
sacred
the power
obligation
of AI.
to train and equip those we send into harm's way and care for them and their families when they come home and when they don't. That's why the song Support and Help of Dennis and the VA, I signed the PACT Act. One of the most significant laws ever, helping millions of veterans exposed to toxins who now are battling more than 100 different cancers. Many of them don't come home, but we owe them and their families support. We owe it to ourselves to keep supporting our new health research agency called ARPA-H, and remind us that we can do big things, like end cancer as we know it, and we will. Let me close with this. Yay. I know you don't want to hear any more, Lindsay, but I got to say a few more things. I know it may not look like it, but I've been around a while. When you get to be my age, certain things become clearer than ever. I know the American story. Again and again, I've seen the contest between competing forces in the battle for the soul of our nation, between those who want to pull America back to the past and those who want to move America into the future. My lifetime has taught me to embrace freedom and democracy, a future based on core values that have defined America: honesty, decency, dignity, equality, to respect everyone, to give everyone a fair shot, to give hate no safe harbor. Now, other people my age see it differently. The American story of resentment, revenge, and retribution, that's not me. I was born amid World War II, when America stood for the freedom of the world. I grew up in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and Claymont, Delaware, among working-class people who built this country. I watched in horror as two of my heroes, like many of you did, Dr. King and Bobby Kennedy, were assassinated. And their legacies inspired me to pursue a career in service. I left the law firm and became a public defender because my city of Wilmington was the only city in America occupied by the National Guard after Dr. King was assassinated because of the riots. And I became a county councilman almost by accident. I got elected to the United States Senate when I had no intention of running at age 29. Then vice president of our first black president. Now president to the first women vice president. In my career, I've been told I was too young. By the way, they didn't let me on the Senate elevators for votes sometimes. Not a joke. And I've been told I'm too old. Whether young or old, I've always known what endures. I've known our North Star.
So at the end of his speech, he's going to address the age
of Americans, that we're all created equal.
More gaslighting.
Treated equally throughout our lives. We've never fully lived up to that idea, but we've never walked away from it either. And I won't walk away from it now. I'm optimistic. I really am. I'm optimistic, Nancy. My fellow Americans, the issue facing our nation isn't how old we are, it's how old are our ideas. Hate, anger, revenge, retribution are the oldest of ideas. But you can't lead America with ancient ideas that only take us back. You lead America, the land of possibilities. You need a vision for the future and what can and should be done. Tonight you've heard mine. I see a future where defending democracy, you don't diminish it. I see a future where we restore the right to choose and protect our freedoms, not take them away. I see a future where the middle class finally has a fair shot and the wealthy have to pay their fair share in taxes. I see a future where we save the planet from the climate crisis and our country from gun violence. Above all, I see a future for all Americans. I see a country for all Americans. And I will always be president for all Americans because I believe in America. I believe in you, the American people. You're the reason we've never been more optimistic about our future than I am now. So let's build the future together. Let's remember who we are. We are the United States of America. And there's nothing beyond our capacity when we act together. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Notice how he said, may God bless you all and may God bless the troops. He didn't say bless America. That's pretty interesting.
Baptist preacher tonight.
I'll tell you what.
You was the Baptist preacher tonight.
I'll tell you what Jim Eason once said to me. He said, what would old Jim Eason do for you in Delaware? I said, Mr. Chairman, someplace you'd help and someplace you'd hurt. He looked at me and said, I'll come and campaign for you again, and whichever helps you. That's what you were on.
Come on now. Good job. Good job.
Great job. Great job.
Good job. Be lively. That was a sermon today.
Great job, he says. Great job.
Great job. You knocked it out of the Great work.
All right, you guys, I'm not gonna make you endure any more of that. I get it. For many of you, that was hard to sit through. Listen, I appreciate every single one of you that endured to the end. Blessed is he who endures to the end, right? That was very difficult. A lot of gaslighting, a lot of BS. And that was kind of expected, right? I do have to give it to him. I got to give it to him. He stayed on script. He didn't stumble too much, and he got through it. But I think there was a lot that went into this. This was not an easy task for him. to get through. Certainly not like Trump, right? Trump's speeches, even though that he does use a teleprompter sometimes, comes from the heart. And this seemed like it was, and I've seen this with him in all of the interviews that I've looked at, especially the late night interviews he's done, where this is not easy for him. All right. So I got to give him props for that. But overall, it was very cringe, very hard to sit through, and we could see through it. And you guys, I've told you, this is Weekend at Bernie's. If you remember that movie, if you don't know what I'm talking about, and somebody's like, what's Weekend at Bernie's? Go Google that and watch that movie. It's a movie from, I want to say, late 80s, early 90s, maybe, about a guy that dies. and he's portrayed as being alive for the whole weekend. That's why it's called Weekend at Bernie's, right? And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. This is what comes to me when I think about him and I think about his presidency, because it's such a farce. It's such a charade. He is not completely there. He's not even the same person he was when he was vice president, you guys. But it's who the Democrats have, right? And it's Obama 3.0. A lot of his supporters and his policy is in this administration. And if we continue down this road, which I believe the Democrats are going to try to ensure, it's going to be very much the same with Kamala, with Obama 4.0. And remember the video clip of Obama saying he would just love to be in office a third time. And if he could, be in his basement in his sweatpants and be calling the shots. Well, that's essentially what's going on. And if you have eyes to see and ears to hear, you can see that. It's not difficult to see that. And the fact that Kamala is the vice president, and she was strongly recommended by Obama. Okay, this is his girl. This is his pick. And I think he didn't foresee the train wreck it would be, nor did the Democratic Party when it came to Biden. But it is what they have now, and they have to go with it. They have to make the best of it, right? I don't think they expected Biden to decline as quickly as he has, but that's the way it is. And so if they intend on keeping him in and insisting he's going to be there 4 more years, we all know that that's highly unlikely. Highly unlikely. We got about 245 days until the election. My grandfather, my mother's father, passed away with dementia. And from what my mother and my aunts tell me, it progressed rather quickly. My mom told me not too long ago, this reminded her of her father watching this happen. Okay. So there's no question that the guy's declining. Everybody can see it. The Democrats want to gaslight you and believe that's not so. He's the best. Joe Scarborough this morning was saying he was the best president in the last 10 presidents. The last 10 presidents, he's the best. You believe that? Honestly, Democrat, Republican, what? Do you really believe that he's the best president in the last 10 presidents? No way. There's no way. But the media, especially the left media, is going to gaslight you with this. Very much like the emperor wears no clothes. If you know that story, you understand what I'm talking about. That whole story is about gaslighting. The whole community was gaslighted. And they just jumped on the bandwagon and agreed with one another. So one would say, oh, he's the best president ever. And the others that would see this don't want to be the outside person. They don't want to be the one to disagree. So they agree with it. Oh, yes, absolutely. He does so much, right? The emperor's clothes are so beautiful. I love it. It's beautiful. Nobody could really see the emperor's clothes because, of course, he's naked. But nobody wants to be that one guy to say, oh, no, you guys, he's naked. Nobody's going to say that, especially the Democrats. So that's why the analogy, is relevant here. The emperor indeed wears no clothes, but yet the consensus is, oh, he does wear clothes and they're beautiful. What do you mean you can't see it? That's the whole point behind the story, if you didn't know that. I just realized that today with the whole emperor wears no clothes and why others were making that analogy. I heard on Alex Jones today, Stone, what's his name? Slipping me right now. I don't usually follow him, but a strong supporter of Trump has also agreed with my assessment that the obvious choice, if Kamala is handed the football, would be Michelle Obama. There's no other person that could even appear to beat Trump, and that's what they have to pull off. They have to pull off this appearance that they have the votes, they have the people to pull this. That's going to happen, right? And I believe they're going to do exactly what they did last time. Now I can't say that openly because in the last election, the week of the election, every night I did a live stream and I had told you guys what I'd seen for 11 months. Trump was not going to be reelected. Now, the first time he was elected, Hollywood laughed at him. All of the media mocked him. Nobody really believed it. And I went on a radio show, on the Doug Hagman show, I want to say 2015, 2016. And he asked me about the codes that I was looking at and the fact that I was, okay, so anytime you're looking at codes and you're trying to reconcile something, especially like this, or like, one other occurrence was the nomination of the current Pope. But when you're talking about a presidential election, you only have a handful of possibilities. So it's not difficult to search each one of those possibilities and make a assessment of what you think would happen. Okay. That's called Monte Carlo method. All right. That's the algorithm that these codes operate in, especially when we're dealing with supercomputers and we're trying to look at all of the possibilities. Monte Carlo method, right? So if you have a handful of possibilities, might it be possible using this tool that we have to determine the possible outcome, or at least look at the probability of each one and then determine what is more probable? That's what I'm saying here. And because of that, there's this X factor that's involved, the unknown, because man has a choice. We don't know what man's going to choose, right? So all possibilities are listed, but what actually happens, the Father is the only one that knows. Okay, so this is why I say that we can't use the codes like a crystal ball. It doesn't work that way, you guys. This takes a lot of the Holy Spirit. And that's why I say the codes are more like the ephod instead of a crystal ball. What is the ephod? The ephod was a vestment. It's a breastplate that had the stones of the 12 tribes. And on those stones are carved the names of each one of those tribes, which uses all of the letters in the Hebrew alphabet. And so the high priest would go into the Holy of Holies once a year in Yom Kippur. He would ask the Father questions for the nations, for the people. And the Father would answer him through the holy fire, reflecting off the breastplate And whatever question he would ask, the Father would answer from a reflection on the wall, the letters. Imagine that. At Sinai, the people were terrified and afraid because the Father verbally spoke. They heard shofars and they heard thundering and lightning. The whole earth shook. So it was a very momentous occasion when the Father spoke. So I believe the Father created a way that's less disturbing to all of creation. You understand what I'm saying? This is the logic, I believe, behind the ephod, that the Father could communicate with a representative of the people, because the people say, we don't want to go. We don't want to hear him. We're afraid of him, right? Moses, go and talk to him. So this is where the idea of the high priest came, the ephod, yada, yada, yada. We're speaking to him, and now he's speaking through the letters and not verbally, because when he spoke verbally, the whole earth shook. This is how creation became, right? He spoke it into existence. So he created a way that high priests could ask once a year all these questions, and he would answer through the ephod. The codes do the same thing in modern days. Yet, I don't believe you have to be a high priest to do this. Mainly because of what Yeshua did on the cross. He reconciled us back to the Father. There was a gap that we could not reach him before the cross. You understand this, right? We had to go to a priest to reach the Father. Yeshua came to fill that gap to where everyone, wherever they are, could reach out to the Father. You understand this, right? That's what he did, right? So today, when it comes to the codes, and then we have Yeshua, which breaches the gap. Therefore, we also have the Holy Spirit, which is the voice, the ruach, the wind that we hear, that still voice that we hear. You guys, when we're in a meditation state, when we're in a prayerful state, we hear that still small voice. That's the Holy Spirit speaking. Because if the Father spoke, the whole earth would shake. You understand that, right? So he sent his Holy Spirit to commune with us. Roger Stone, that's right, that's his name. I was having a brain fart there for a moment. But yeah, I heard him also agree with me that Michelle Obama is the most likely, and it's not just Roger Stone, it's all of Vegas. The Vegas bookies, the bookkeepers in Vegas are betting it's Michelle Obama. All right. They didn't need codes to do that. We can see in the codes that it's highly probable. Is it likely that it's going to happen? That depends on you. It really does. The whole thing about Nineveh and the eclipse that you see, and the X going across the United States with the Aleph and the Tav, that's a sign from the Father to communicate to you the severity of the state of this nation. And not only that, this is a sign to the whole world. Matter of fact, I will take this a little further and say this next election will probably be the most watched event ever. The most watched event ever. That means, you know, the Super Bowl. That means, you know, the basketball championship, everything. This is the most watched event in the world. All eyes of the world is going to see this. Two things are going to happen. One of two things will happen. Either Donald Trump would win this, and this nation would go into a particular type of chaos because the Democrats are going to come unglued. And even some believers are going to believe that Donald Trump is the Antichrist. But if Yah sends us into immediate judgment, and that's what I believe would happen with Biden or Kamala coming in, right? We will also have chaos in this nation, either way we go. either way we go, it's not going to turn out ideal. In other words, and it, you know, it pains me to say that, but it's the truth. And it's my honest analysis of that. Think about it. The Democrats do not want him in there. There's even a chance that if he gets in there, and by the way, the further we get to the election, the higher the probability goes up for someone to try to take him out. And we're going to talk about the green light on Trump in just a moment, because there's already a report from the FBI right now that there are active Iranian cells in the United States that are looking to kill him. A report just come across. That's what we're going to talk about in just a moment. Let me wrap up on this commentary first. So they don't want him in. If they can't get him in, get him out through the courts, right? And he somehow, and I think by the grace of the Creator, he comes in there. And I do believe he's the better choice for this nation. And that's really hard for me to say, because I really sincerely believe that either side of the bird, both wings are evil. One may be more than the other. I've also said I don't believe Trump to be wicked, but also don't believe that he's righteous either. There's some things about him that are just very questionable. The fact that he's never repented before, and he's never felt the need. He said this on 2 different occasions in interview. That concerns me. Okay, and this is indicative of the AC, right? We'll talk about that some other time. If he gets in, there's a high probability he could be the man. Just telling you guys the truth about this. I just like with Obama, who said he was a Christian, which was a lie. The codes revealed he was a Muslim. He still is a Muslim. I don't believe that Trump is a Christian as we know it. I think he maybe skirts behind that identity because of the base that will get him in. Okay, that's just my opinion. I'm not judging him. I'm not saying that he's not righteous. It just appears to me that it's just the right wing of the same bird. Okay, that's what I'm saying about it. So, all right. So there's basically a couple of ways we could go. Trump is one, and if we see it go that way, we know that there's been some things that happen in the spiritual realm. You know, I believe the fact that Nineveh is in the path of this eclipse, that the Father is telling us that this is a repentance moment, right? It's the same pattern for that. Apparently the same things happened in Syria in that time, that the people repented because they saw this sign that was unusual, and they saw it as an omen. Okay, so if America sees it the same way, and the people of Yah come to a place of repentance, and I mean a serious place of a collective repentance, it is very possible that he relents, you guys. I'm not going to put him in the Father in a box and say, you know, it is this and it's cut and dry and that's how it is. We can't do that. There's this X factor that we can't calculate. I think if people get outraged enough by seeing what is getting ready to happen, and they pour themselves out to the Father, that he is faithful and just to relent. Okay. But if he does, and Trump gets in, there's a high probability that the left are going to listen. The spiritual struggle is not going to stop. It's not going to stop. This cosmic chess match that's happening will not stop if judgment is averted, right? It's still going to happen, right? So it's better that we're always mindful and prayerful for this nation. We can't be slack in this. You can't just sit on your butt and say, oh, that's for the next guy, let him worry about it. No, you can't just be an observer in this. You're part of this, especially if you live in this country. We're in this together. Okay. So we have to be in that state of mind for us to avert this. If that doesn't happen, you guys, if Yah doesn't relent, then the alternative will be the shenanigans will happen. Either Biden will be in there and then hand it off to Kamala, or he drops out before the 250 days, 245 days or elapse, and it's passed over to Kamala with the Obama side of it, which will be Michelle, right? That's the only way they're going to appear to pull this off. And even still, I believe the shenanigans are in. And I think this is why all of the gaslighting is going on, because they have to set the stage, right? Imagine if they did no gaslighting and then they did the thing and he's president again, people are going to be like freaked out, right? Not saying that they're not going to be, because I think there will be an element of this that will still see through this. But even still, there'll be this niche part of the demographic that will be, you know, listen, this is psychological with the gaslighting and stuff. And so emperor wears no clothes. You don't want to be the odd guy out. Imagine that. There's going to be some people with the intelligence level that they're going to believe this crap, right? Because they don't want to be the odd guy out, right? So they go along with the status quo, so to speak. So it's not rocket science. It's only a handful of ways we can go, right? And I think the fix is already in. I think they're planning for every possibility of him getting in and what they can do. So that with that being said, the Father's not locked in, right? He is the Father. He is the Elohim of miracles, so he can work things. So we have to keep that in mind. That you know, in doing this, I want to give you guys hope. This is not setting in stone, especially I believe this time, and I do believe this is going to be a shit show. To be quite frank with you, you know, I'm using a little bit of edgy words here. But that's what it's going to be when we see this next election. That's why I said it's going to be the most viewed thing. Mark my words. Commentators are going to say this is the most watched event in history, because all of the world's watching right now to see what takes place in this country. It takes, I've said this many times, this country is like it's a beacon on a hill. It's an example. It's an ensign to the rest of the world. And what happens here trickles down to the rest of the world, right? And so that's why I say that. So I believe the Father will use this nation as an example, whether that's for good or bad. Imagine if all the pastors of this nation, instead of exalting Trump as a savior, and by the way, it does happen. I had some people, you know, come on my feed and ask, why do you say that Christians were worship? They were worshiping this guy. Matter of fact, I saw a thing on Facebook today, a billboard that someone posted with a biblical reference in it and had Trump's picture on it, but the biblical reference was to the Messiah. Trump's picture was there. Why are Christians attributing Messiah verses to Trump? You know, I got pictures, you guys, in the second election, right before the second election, there was like a statue of Trump in just one place. And there was a picture that I took a snapshot of this person kneeled down to the statue with their hands crossed like this, and they're praying to Trump. You don't think that's Trump worship? We're not supposed to worship any man. We know who our king is, you guys. The Father's not going to honor that. And the fact that it was like 400 false prophets from the evangelical movement, all saying that Jesus had told them that Trump was going to be the next president and yada, yada, yada. He's going to save this nation, da, 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 da. I did videos on that and said, not one finger would he lift to stop what was about to happen. You guys remember? You guys remember? I told you. Yah said not one finger would he lift. And every single one of those false prophets were proven wrong, all in one sweep. Not one finger. It's blasphemy. That's exactly right. We can't exalt a man above the Father. We must exalt the Elohim of the man, not the man, the Elohim of the man. He's just a representative, you guys. Just like me, I'm just a vessel. Without the Father, I'm not the code searcher. I'm nobody. I can do nothing without him. So why would we exalt a president above the Father? That's not going to end well. Christians doing that, it's not going to end well. So I just want you guys to keep that in mind in the latest videos that you see from me and the code tables, that, you know, I'm trying to show you the probability of each of these things and some of the processes of you know, making a call on some of these prophetic or future events. And again, I don't believe that codes are there to predict the future. But if the Holy Spirit is revealing something to you that is prophetic, that is of the future, you know, I'm not going to box that in and say that Yah is not able to do that. He is definitely able to do that. I've seen other code searchers, ones that I'm close to. Brother Martin just put out a very good presentation today on the Eclipse and his assessment of that. And I think it's excellent. I think it's Holy Spirit inspired, right? He's spot on in the sense that these are signs. The Father is communicating something to us. Why would he be doing that? Right? He's warning us. His word says he does nothing without warning us first. He warned Nineveh before he dropped judgment. And he was so merciful that he sent a representative, a shuluch, a representative, an emissary. In this case, Jonah, which means dove in Hebrew, to call for repentance. He didn't want to destroy them. They were due for it. They deserved it. But it's not his heart to do that. He wants us to come back to him. It's not his will that any should die, you guys. So he's calling us to all these hard times, all these things that we're going to is supposed to drive us closer to him. That's his way, right? Collectively, as a nation, we're all guilty of the laws that are made by the governments of this country. If they make it legal to kill babies and we pay taxes that fund abortions, guess what? Blood is on your hands just like it is on mine. We're all guilty by association. Is that understood? That's what I mean by collective, because some people would just be like, I'm not for abortions. That's not my deal. Oh no, you're here too. You pay taxes. They pay for abortions. We're all guilty. More than 70 million souls. More than 70 million souls dead today. We're all guilty. It doesn't matter if you were the one that did it, you had an abortion yourself, or we funded it through taxes. We're all guilty. We're not going to split hairs here. Okay? And I'm not coming down on people that come to that place in their life. Everybody makes bad decisions and are deceived by Satan or whatever. He's faithful and just to forgive. So just keep that in mind, you guys. Now that's enough of my rant. I mean, those words are in the codes. It is one of the most egregious sins that we're being judged for. There are others, and I didn't go into that. Matter of fact, you can be, hit for hate speech if you talk about some of the other things. But I do want to go into a video that I saw yesterday that was very interesting to me. This green light that's on Trump right now. This is something we got to pay attention to. So let me kind of segue over to that, and we will talk a little bit more. You guys, thank you for hanging out with me through this whole broadcast. We're now at 2 hours, right? This is a report from Lisa Haven. Now, Lisa is being shadow banned a little bit, and I don't know what YouTube's going to do to me for playing her video, but I'm going to play a section of it for you guys because it's important for what she's bringing forward, okay?
Trump gone. They want him off the ballot. They don't want him running for president. And they are begging and pleading with people to put him behind bars, so much so that he has 91 felony counts against him that are just complete and utter crap. Not only that, but many people within the Biden administration and Democrats in general want him eliminated, as in dead. They wouldn't care if he were to die tomorrow. Well, now the FBI has just released a notification that there is an Iranian assassin on the loose who is specifically targeting Donald Trump and his officials, reportedly over the killing of Solomon. I mean, this is a major red alert because if anything happens to Donald J. Trump, we are literally screwed as a country. So please continue to keep him and even his officials in prayer as a result of what is going on right now. And this Iranian assassin who is now after the former president and his officials. Now, before I dive in, I got to give a quick shout out to my sponsor. I want to encourage you guys to check out Noble Gold Investments YouTube channel. On there, they share all kinds of good information regarding investments, regarding gold, regarding silver, how you can better protect yourself in the event of some kind of emergency. Now, I purposely sponsor with them because of what they offer, and I wholeheartedly believe in what they do. But if you want to check out some information on 401k, Roth IRAs, and what they offer, go to noblegoldinvestments.com and subscribe to their YouTube channel there. It's absolutely free to subscribe. So please check it out, support them, and support what I do and educate. Take a look here, and this is Masheed Farahani. Masheed Farahani. Now, here is the actual face of the man, and I'm going to bring up his wanted poster because they have his wanted poster up. So keep an eye out for this man. If you see this man, please report him. He is obviously after Donald Trump, his leading officials, and potentially even Donald Trump himself. If one man is going after the officials, I can guarantee you, in my own opinion, that Donald Trump would be at risk too. But this is Masheed Farahani. And here's what it says about them on the FBI.gov wanted poster here. It says Masheed Farahani, an Iranian intelligence officer, is wanted for questioning in connection with the recruitment of individuals for various operations in the United States, to include lethal targeting of current and former U.S. government officials as revenge for killing of Commander Qasem Soleimani. Farahani also reportedly recruited individuals for surveillance activities focused on religious sites, businesses, and other facilities within the United States. Now, to make this more specific, he is specifically targeting Donald Trump's officials who were, who were involved with Donald Trump during that time. And this comes from this article here, and this is on semaphore.com, and it's headlined, FBI hunts for suspected Iranian assassin targeting Trump-era officials. Now, it goes on to state this: the U.S. government is intensifying a manhunt for an Iranian intelligence operative who the FBI believes has been plotting to assassinate current and former American officials, including one-time Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. The FBI Miami field office on Friday issued a public alert seeking information on Masheed Farahani, a suspected member of Iran's Ministry of Intelligence and Security, who the Bureau alleged has been recruiting individuals for
By the way, you guys, this is in retaliation for Trump killing Soleimani. It's not Solomon, it's Soleimani. And again, the man identified in this is not necessarily the one that's going to assassinate. He's the one organizing. So there's probably a cell somewhere. It's really interesting that they say they're in Florida, probably Miami, right? And he's hanging out in a Spanish community, a Latino community. Miami is a big Latino, it's a huge community, and it's a big place to hide in the Latino community, speaking Spanish as if he's from Venezuela or from somewhere else. But again, this guy is suspected to be in the United States, in Florida in particular, and in Miami, to be more specific, which is right up. This is where Trump hangs out, you guys. Where I live in Miami, I'm right in front of Trump building 1, 2, and 3, where I live. Okay. So, and he is in Mar-a-Lago, just up the road, just less than an hour. So this is his area. He doesn't hang out in New York anymore, you guys. It's Florida. So the fact that this guy's in Florida, the FBI is looking for him, is a red flag. Okay. So remember, in one of the tables we just looked at, there is a vertical anomaly that says a cleaner will be imported. Now, I was thinking like a crime scene cleaner, like in, the movie from Tarantino, Pulp Fiction, where Mr. Wolf is the cleaner. But somebody in the last video commented on the video down below, pointed out that a cleaner is actually an assassin. Okay, so how many witnesses do we need in this? All right, if they can't pull off the whatever and he gets in, highest probability ever. Okay, keep that in mind, you guys.
Operations in the U.S. to include lethal targeting of current and former USG officials. And by the way, the fact that they're recruiting people means that there's not just technically one assassin, but there could be more. This is why I encourage you to keep Trump, and even if you don't care for some of his officials, please keep them in prayer as well. I don't wish death upon anyone. But it goes on to state that it's unclear why they issued the warning specifically in Florida. That's where it was issued, but they did state on Friday that Farahani speaks Spanish and frequently moves between Iran and even Venezuela. Now, it goes on to state that the Iranian government has repeatedly vowed over the past 4 years to avenge the 2020 death of Major General Solomon, a commander of Iran's elite force, whom the Trump administration assassinated in Baghdad using a drone strike on his.
This means there's a green light. There is a green light for the death of Soleimani on Trump and his officials. You guys, it's official now. The FBI is saying there's a green light. And someone just commented in the chat right there, could this be a patsy? Absolutely, it could be. It could be that they're putting this information out beforehand, right?
Convoy. The DOJ indicted members of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps in 2022 for allegedly plotting to murder Trump's former national security advisor, John Bolton, who served in the White House in the months leading up to Solomon's death. U.S. officials told Semaphore they believe Pompeo and Trump's special envoy for Iran, Brian Hook, are also on Tehran's list. The U.S. government is currently providing both men with around-the-clock security due to the severity of the threat. Now, thankfully, they've got around-the-clock security. I know that Donald Trump has security himself, but these are 3 different people: Pompeo, Brian Hook, and the third one there was John Bolton, who are at risk. And that's just a few of who they know are at risk right now. But either way, I'm worried about Trump as well, because considering he's the one who gave the green button on the deal. But either way, I don't think the Democrats would give one iota if something like that were to happen to Donald.
And that's a report from Lisa Haven, you guys. I'll put the link down in the description below after the live stream, where you can go watch the whole video. Again, I believe Lisa is being sandbagged. She's being blackballed. Some even said that her videos are not being seen on Facebook. So I wouldn't be surprised if they try to shadow ban me in this video because I put her on here. Shout out to Lisa Haven. Good job on that reporting. So you guys, that's what I got for you. And by the way, I did find that name in the Trump table. However, it's at a skip. That's not really, you know, to see the name of the actual person that does said event, we would see the name at a better skip pattern that we do right now with that name. His name does appear twice. It both times crosses over Donald Trump's name and the name of the assassin anomaly that's in there. But just from my experience of looking at this over many years, it's a loose association to it. In my opinion, it means he's connected, but not necessarily the guy. In other words, he is a great threat, but not the guy. I don't believe he's the guy. If anything, he's probably the one that's organizing this. And we'll talk about that later in another video when we look at his table again. So you guys, that's what I got for you in this broadcast. And I apologize for the cringe moments that you had to endure watching that, but I believe it's necessary for all of us as Americans, as believers to know these things. We can't just stick our heads in the sand and ignore it. Okay, this is very serious for our country. And these signs that we're seeing, these eclipse and lunar eclipses that we're seeing, are not just coincidence and not just random things that happen in the earth. All these things mean something. The Bible tells us that's why they happen. Okay, so again, for those of you that are looking for the rapture, I'm not saying that's not going to happen. We're definitely closer than ever to the catching away. But I do believe we're going to these signs and what we are to endure in the next few years are being told to us. All right. So that's what I got for you. I love you guys. I appreciate you. I appreciate the support, the new subscribers, and the new students that I have. And by the way, if you've emailed me for personal codes or to be in a class, look at your emails. I've responded to each and every one. And if I haven't, if I've overlooked them, email me again. Okay. I'm getting probably 50 a day. And over many days, that gets kind of confusing. Okay. So because I'm going back and forth for different emails and trying to catch up with you on different time zones. And it's been like long distance ping pong. Check your emails. I've answered everyone that I've seen. If I missed any, email me back. Okay. Many of them I've left my phone number for you guys to call me and talk to me about whatever. Okay. All right. So that's what I got for you guys. I love you. Shalom to you. Pray for this nation. Pray for Trump. Pray for Biden. Even he's a puppet right now. This guy is. This is not all him. Okay. He's being handled, okay, and in my opinion, it's abuse. It's elder abuse to be doing that to someone who is in that kind of condition. All right, he's not the same man he was during the vice presidency he had under Obama. He's a different man, right? I think that's all I got for you. Anyway. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. We will talk again. I will get some more codes out. And by the way, Code Searcher students, we have class tomorrow at 1 o'clock Hawaii time. I think that's 6 o'clock Eastern. If you are locked out of Discord, email me and I will send you another link. Okay. That is for Code Searcher students. If you're interested in joining the class, we're just now getting started. You haven't missed anything. All you've missed is orientation. Everything is recorded, so you can view that. Tomorrow's class, we're going to be covering the letters. So now's the time to get in. If you want to get in, we have plenty of room for you. All right. I'm gifting you the code programs that we're going to be using. Going to teach you how to use those. Going to teach you the letters and some vocabulary. And within a year, you're going to be searching codes just like this. Okay. So that's what I got for you guys. I love you. Shalom to you. Thank you for the support. We'll see you in the next video.